So you've heard everywhere that discipline is the number one thing that you need to achieve anything. If you have discipline, you can go about doing any task because you don't care about how difficult it is because you have discipline. What even is discipline? Has anyone ever asked you that question? Have you even asked yourself that question? What does discipline in somebody look like? Okay, it looks like somebody who sits down and does anything that they need to do. So they have these responsibilities, they have this list of tasks, they do everything. That's discipline. Sometimes it gets really damn hard to do those things, doesn't it? Sometimes there's no reason you feel like to do those things. And this is why in the last video I talked about why purpose is kind of overrated. And you'd say that the disciplined man is someone who, regardless of how difficult the thing is, would do it. So that's what discipline is in our minds. We think that it's the ability to do anything regardless of the situation, regardless of how we feel. But how do you build discipline? How do you build this habit? It's not through watching motivational videos. It's not by following in David Goggins' footsteps. At least, not exactly. Kind of. What builds discipline, from my experience, is doing things you don't want to do. And now that sounds simple because that's kind of what discipline is. But why don't a lot of people have discipline if it's so simple? Because apparently it's not, because a lot of people don't have it. So this is just a quick way in which you can build discipline, because it's like a level, it's like a video game. You start at level 1 and you have until like level 100 or whatever, and you need to gain these experience points to continue leveling up. And discipline is the habit that if you level up to 100, I mean, what can't you do, right? You can basically achieve anything. So discipline, how do you build it? As I mentioned, it's by doing things that you hate. I'm not talking about things that are generally perceived as difficult. I'm talking about things that you truly, with your entire being, hate. Okay? So for me, that would probably be, let's just say cold showers for the example of this video, okay? Cold showers. I have every reason not to do cold showers, okay? I'm thinking it's not good for bodybuilding. It might thicken up my skin. It might not look too good. Okay, do it. Because these are excuses made up by the mind to stop you from doing things that you hate. They're not real, bro. And if you truly get serious about becoming disciplined, you will notice how creepy it is that your mind literally fights against everything you're trying to do. It fights against it. It finds every excuse to fight against it. You're at a constant war with yourself. And by battling in that war, you build discipline. So, what I will say to you to build discipline is do at least one thing in the day that you hate. And if it ends up being the same thing for multiple days on end, progressively overload it. So if you hate doing cold showers, do it for 1 minute a day. And then the next day, 1.5 minutes, then 2 minutes. Like progressively overload it. Another thing you can do is when you do the 1 minute of the cold shower, the next day you do something else. Okay? So you're constantly building it up and doing things that you hate until eventually you reach a point where most of the things that you do in the day are things that you hate doing. And scientifically, I got this from Andrew Huberman, but there's a structure in your brain called the AMCC, anterior mid-cingulate cortex, for you galaxy brains out there. And what it does is that when a human is under stressful conditions, when they're doing things that they don't find any pleasure in, that area gets activated. And do you know what happens when that area gets activated? The person's will to live and their motivation increases. So by being more disciplined, you build motivation. By doing things you're not motivated to do, you build motivation. Not just discipline, literal motivation, like the desire to want to do something. So you might get into something like cold showers and eventually you enjoy doing cold showers. Well, they don't count anymore if you enjoy them. You can enjoy them, they can be hard, but if you like them, then they don't count towards actually building your discipline. You'll get to a stage where a lot of the things you do that are typically perceived as hard and annoying and things you don't want to do, you end up enjoying them. The best example I can give is the gym. How many guys have gone to the gym thinking it's something hard to do, thinking it's something that most of the time they won't really want to do, but eventually end up falling in love with it? I was one of them, for sure. And it's same for all these other habits. So you continue to build up the habits day by day. You start doing more things that you don't want to do. In my opinion, I feel like the morning time's the best, especially if you wake up before sunrise and you put yourself in the cold shower at night in the dark when you're already cold. That's some next level discipline right there. And you continue to build that up as time progresses until eventually you've reached a point of discipline where you can do a lot of things you couldn't do before. Instead of making excuses for doing the work you gotta do. You get down and you do it. It's these little things, like waking up early. People ask, why should I wake up early? I mean, there's no real benefit as long as I do it in the day. Well, we're not doing things for the achievement of doing them. We're doing things that we hate because it builds discipline. And so you gradually build this up. Let's say you wake up at 5 a.m. in the mornings from now on. You go quickly do a cold shower. Then you go outside and you run and you come back and you eat and you go work out. Like all these things compounded on top of each other builds immense discipline. And it's kind of like an exponential curve in a way where the more stuff you add, the quicker your discipline increases. And you get to a point where you build so much discipline that even when you try to enjoy yourself, you kind of feel like you have to do work. You only really enjoy yourself when you're doing work. Because think about it. What is enjoyment? It's not really like all these things that society believes or makes us believe are enjoyable. Do you really think going out to parties is enjoyable? Because I don't. Do you think sitting in your room watching a movie? Okay, a movie can be enjoyable, but like watching YouTube videos endlessly, do you think that's really enjoyable? I mean, it gets your dopamine going, but like what are you getting at the end of it? You just feel kind of lethargic, tired, lazy. That's not fun. What's fun is achievement, doing things you don't want to do. So the last few videos have kind of been on a similar topic. It's just doing what you hate, but it's for a reason, because it's so important to improving yourself and becoming a master of your own life. So thanks for watching the video. That's it for this one. Reject mediocrity, embrace mastery, and I'll see you later, bro.